What's up, cool people? I'm Matt Conroy, and I know I said before when I was talking about the whole coronavirus thing that I didn't really want to get into stuff about, like, the stock market or, like, make speculations on things, but I'm kind of going against that idea right now, because some information has come to at least somewhat public attention that just absolutely infuriates me. And the thing is, it pretty much all relates to finances, the stock market, the economic situation, and all that kind of stuff. So, here's the thing. Somebody decided that, there should be, this money, like this extra money going to these companies and stuff, whether it be through directly giving it to them or like through tax loopholes or different things like that. So the idea was your whole classic trickle-down economics thought process that if we give more money to these companies, then they can, invest more in doing stuff locally and or have more jobs and build more whatever. And the problem with this idea is that it will not help in the case of a greedy corporate CEO or whoever, because what has been revealed recently is that quite a few of these higher-ups within these companies were essentially taking that money that was supposed to, stimulate the economy and to, better their companies and build more and create more jobs and all that kind of stuff. And really, they use that money to just buy stocks in their own company. Who exactly does this help? Other than maybe at that time, some of their shareholders. But in a crisis situation like we've been experiencing with the coronavirus pandemic, these same people got some knowledge that, companies are about to take a big hit, a lot of stuff is going to close down, and so just like the broader public, for some unknown reason, started buying toilet paper like it was going out of fashion, these corporate CEOs or business higher-ups or whatever you want to call them, because I don't know exactly where they are in the power structure. But anyway, these people within these companies, given this knowledge that, stuff's about to be forced to close and that their businesses are going to take a hit, decided to panic sell these stocks that they had bought in their companies before. So they get to escape with probably millions and millions of dollars from, selling off their stocks and getting the value of them. Meanwhile, the entire rest of the market sees this happening and gets in a panic. So, basically, the massive downturn in the stock market was, okay, maybe it was somewhat indirectly caused by the knowledge of businesses needing to slow down or halt operations. But it was brought on just as much, if not more so, by these richer corporate entities and people behind the scenes deciding to panic sell their stocks. Because that's how the stock market works. People sell off stocks, the value goes down because it's easier to buy stocks in that company. But then the value goes down, people see this happening, and then it causes a ripple effect where other people, in a reaction to that, decide, I want to get out of this and sell off my own stocks and get what money I can out of it before I end up with a negative value out of this whole situation. Because why else would I have put my money into these stocks to begin with? First of all, this is why I don't get involved in the stock market, period. Because it's super volatile. Any situation like this could come about out of the blue, and just like that, practically in an instant, all this money that you've put into something is now actually losing you the money that you put into it. The returns are now negative just because something came up and other people decided to panic sell their stocks. Also, the companies as a whole, because their stocks are going down, the overall situation for the company is viewed as being more bleak. Because it's assumed that the overall value of the company itself is deteriorating as these stocks go down. I don't exactly know what the actual connection is between stock value and company value, but they're not directly related per se. But still, because of this perception, once again, we have ourselves a situation that it becomes, people react to the perceived situation and then do something that winds up making the overall situation even worse. And this is what I absolutely hate about the stock market as a concept. But even more so than just railing on the stock market as an idea, I feel the need to call out whoever it is within these companies that decided this was a good idea. If you want more stability in your company during a time of crisis, should you not be wanting to hold on to those stocks, whereby maintaining more of the value of your company? It makes no freaking sense why you would want to devalue everything so much more, unless you're just a greedy son of a gun who cares about nothing and nobody other than yourself. And that's why you decide to sell off these stocks and get as much as you personally can out of the whole situation. Like, it baffles me just how greedy and selfish the upper echelon in America, really across the world, but especially in America, has proven themselves to be. Now, there are some exceptions. I will note exceptions. You know, many of us know about how much some of these people give. But here's the thing. Rewind a bit. You go back to all this money that these companies were given. Rather than buying stock in their own companies and essentially helping nobody other than shareholders, which again is going to be the greedy upper echelon, they could have actually invested that money in their own company and, you know, could have paid workers a little bit more, could have decided to use that money to build more factories or storefronts or whatever you want to, or upgrade their equipment, or all sorts of different things like that could have been done with this money. But no. These people decided to take the greediest approach possible and just invest in their own companies in the least helpful way possible. They decided to dump it all into their own stocks, which doesn't really do anything. All it does is maybe slightly improve public opinion on how well your company is doing. But it does nothing to help the actual operations of said company when you do this. At least not directly, anyway. There's a chance you may, have other investors or other business people see, the increased value of your stocks and be like, hey, this company is doing well. Let me see if I can do more business with them. Maybe. But that's not guaranteed. And the trade-off on that front is, in all likelihood, far less in the long run. It's probably not going to give you as much for your company in the long run as actually, the other options I mentioned, like buying new equipment or creating new storefronts and factories and different things like that. Just, like, I don't get this. The only way that any of this makes sense as to why it would happen in the first place is, again, just greed. Flat out greed. Going back to the fact of this whole stock buyback, as it's called, and then sell-off. Another factor to consider in this. Essentially, these people within these companies found out from government officials or whoever that this was a thing that was going to happen. Some sources say that they were even advised on these matters beforehand, that they were going to have to start, toning down operations or, closing stores or different things like that. And the question is, would this be considered insider trading? Because, to my knowledge, essentially the definition of insider trading is that you have knowledge of something that's going to happen before it does, which gives you the ability to make some sort of trade within the stock market that then benefits you a lot more due to this knowledge. Sounds like, based on what I've heard and how this was communicated to these people in these companies that then sold off their stocks and gained a lot from it, sounds to me like that's within the definition of insider trading. And we know that this is a crime. Just ask Martha Stewart. So, if these people made these actions based on knowledge that they knew beforehand, then should they not be going to prison? Or at least be put on trial? Or something? There should be some sort of penalty for this then. Agreed? Like, you can't just have people commit crimes and have no consequence for it. If these people would not have made this investment in their own stocks in the first place, they wouldn't feel the need to panic and sell off these stocks to try and get that advantage that they were seeking from buying them in the first place. And, as I said before, they could have used this money to actually improve their companies directly, rather than pouring them into these stocks and indirectly hoping that other people will pour their money into actually improving the company. As, not super poor, but as somebody who is not in the upper echelon of our society, as somebody who is not, rolling in millions of dollars, then I think it's completely unfair and just wrong for all of these upper echelon folks to just take the cheap way out. Oh, and sorry, one last thing I almost forgot to mention. Not only are these greedy corporate higher-ups taking this money that should have been directly invested in their own companies to make them better, pouring them into stocks, and then when a crisis comes, panic selling and devaluing their company while getting as much money as they individually can out of it, they then have the nerve, the gall, to ask the government for freaking corporate bailouts. Heck no! In no way should that ever be considered right or proper or necessary. If you didn't want your company to freaking tank, then you should have kept your own money invested in it in the first freaking place. Don't expect the government to bail you out just because you're a greedy son of a gun who wants to get as much as you personally can out of it, and you took the cheap way out. No, forget it. Any money that you had gotten previously should have been taken to pour back into the company and, maybe created a better infrastructure that could handle a freaking crisis situation like this. Now, I realize there are some extreme cases where you cannot account for such a drastic turn of events. However, once again, pouring into the company itself, making the company as a whole directly stronger and more sustainable, means you shouldn't be worried about the overall situation as much. It means you shouldn't be, nagging the government for some sort of corporate bailout. Or even if you did at that point, you would actually be justified because you didn't take the greedy approach of pouring more money into stocks and then selling it off at the best possible time to escape with your own wealth and not the well-being of the company. Stop being greedy. So, whether you agree or disagree, let me know down in the comments. I know I'm not exactly like an economic genius, so some of these points I'm sure could possibly be refuted. But, I feel like there's got to be a better way. So, anywho, that's all that I've got for now. If I ever find the need to say anything more in regards to the stock market, it's going to be a very situation-specific thing. And otherwise, I think between previous videos of mine and this one, I've said about all that I can say in regards to the stock market and why in the world I do not trust it as far as I could friggin' throw a house. Anyway, so, for now, that's gonna do it, I guess. Sorry if this was a really long rant, essentially, but I gotta state my mind on these things, because it just bothers me that much that, the people who could do the most good are doing their darndest to only help themselves. Anyway, as always, like, share, subscribe, click the bell. Just look down in the description, really. If you want more information on my channel, my videos, how to interact with my social media pages, all that kind of stuff, just look down in the description. And of course, leave your comments down below that with your thoughts on this concept as a whole, on this broader idea of the stock market, on what you think these people with all this money should be doing with it instead of, just pouring it into their own stocks. That's it. Hope you're all doing well. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Maybe I'll be a little more chill for the next one. But in any case, until then, stay cool, people.